Joe,
Hi.
how are you?
It's Friday night in New York City.
It is Friday night in Aurora, Maine.
Yeah.
Beautiful stars out tonight. 3 nights of very clear skies.
Yeah, we had a very beautiful, clear day in New York City that was kind of cool. It's quite cool out tonight. I was just out maybe 45 minutes ago, the dog, and wow, it's really, I mean, the month of August, the second half of August really cooled down.
Yes, it did.
A lot of ways, like energetically it started to cool down a little bit, but also the temperature started to cool down here. Not everywhere on the planet, but certainly here in New York City. It was shocking that it was August, and it's like, well, okay. And certainly that was very true for some things in my own life. I thought, oh, how interesting that things have cooled down second half of the month.
I'm wondering for me if it cooled down or I adjusted to it.
Maybe, right? Maybe. True
Because
that.
I don't think anything changed, but my inner shift changed in all of these retrogrades and Venus retrograding, Mercury. Those are daily energies of retrograde versus those higher out planets that were the month before, which is very slow moving and kind of that feeling underneath. And there was some kind of, for me, yes, it slowed down and it was an adjustment. And then that super blue moon in Pisces. Wow.
Yes. Well, let's talk about all this because we're here to talk about the September astrological and intuitive insights, the intuitive insights that we're getting, a lot of it for Kitty based on her astrology. For me, just my daily meditation and tuning in and what I see going on planetarily as far as politics, current events, that gives me a lot of information about the way of the consciousness, the collective consciousness for sure, and certainly my own. So let's go there, shall we? Let's see what's happening in September 1st, Friday, September 1st, 2023. Okay, so Kitty and I always try to talk a little bit before we go live. And I'm hoping that we can remember some of the things we talked about, because some of the things that you were saying, Kitty, I think are very pertinent. So I'm sure some of it will.
And for people, we don't compare notes. We don't pick the same words. We just kind of say generally, and then we go and talk about it. So as you watch that, you're watching me listen to what he has to say about the first time and vice versa. So it's always interesting.
And I'm going to read this from my phone because I had to email it to myself from the street earlier. So is it four? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 points for the month. This is the highlights. This is things to really pay attention to within yourself and others and planetarily as we move through the month of September, particularly the first half. Kitty and I always do the first of the month, and then we meet again here to talk about the second half and see how that possibly will bleed into the new month and the season. So we're coming quickly upon a new season of fall in about 3 weeks. So, all right. So number one, how it was versus how it is. If you're like me, I can only speak for myself. There've been a lot of changes this year. There was a lot of high drama at points this year so far, and a lot of cooling off, as we've said, but paying close attention to where you've been so far in your life and where you are now. And this is meant to invite you to be very aware of this moment, right? It's okay to look back and do a little retrospective of your life, because that helps us compare and contrast and say, all right, that was then, without attachment, right? We're not talking about getting attached to these things and comparing it so we despair, we're not talking about any kind of victimization here. We're talking about like, this is just it right now. That's where I was. A life review is good at times, but here we are now. And this is the starting point. This is the starting point. This is the starting point. So there's that. The second one is to letting what's new solidify. And there's not much you have to do except perhaps number one, which is just look how it was versus how it is now, right? And let the new solidify, because again, this is your new foundation. This is where you're starting. This is it. Number three, stepping away from drama, because a lot of that drama may have been in the past, right? And it's held you in a certain place and, brought certain events and people into your life that maybe that's not the direction now. Maybe it's a completely different direction. Some of those people and things you just need to walk away from on some level. And then four is allowing us a greater sense of peace to permeate everything that you do, which goes hand in hand with stepping away from drama, right? And being with what is. Once you can accept that place of this is it now, the drama naturally falls away. So a lot of this stuff is going to happen and is happening organically. There's no overthinking involved. There's no intellectualizing this. It's just kind of waking up and hearing something and going, interesting point of view, not mine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you and I were talking about someone who was well known for a long time in the kind of New Age movement and is not there now. And I've been listening to that person and going, interesting, fascinating. I'm fascinated by what this person is putting out now versus what they did before. And that's the new normal for that person. My new normal is something different. Kitty's new normal is something different. Jack Smith, Bill Jones, Mary Brown, other realities. And it's so interesting when you accept that someone else has a different reality. That's just it. Different reality, not my reality, different. Okay, move on. So let's hear how this kind of weaves in with the astrology that's occurring now and will show up later this or throughout the month.
Well, this is about very much about a new track or back to the track that was our humanness in the onset, the wisdom that lives in the body. And there's been a lot of information about this kind of split in the body, whether it's going to be the top chakras, bottom chakras. There is, so kind of if you're really been working up here, now you're going to be looking at the wisdom in your body. If you've been working at the wisdom of your body, you're going to be kind of working up here. There is a new track or a back to a track, and some of us are showing up more to hold the space for others. Some of us are showing it more for ourselves. Some of us are doing kind of a combination. And funny, I got words this morning. They were learning, earning, and yearning. And this is going to be a September to remember. We start with very early in the month. A lot of this is about those daily planets, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, which are everyday energies that show up for us. And they're big players at the beginning of the month, which means it's something about our intention every single day. We're surrendering to this, not judging our path, but every day surrendering, being most comfortable with kind of where we are, just what you're talking about. Well, that's an interesting view. It's not mine. And on we go. So on the 4th of September, Labor Day, Venus stations directly. So Venus has been in this big review, and it stations direct. And it stations direct once again in Leo. So what is our values? What is it beautiful for us to see in our partnerships? But it's the partnership with ourselves. And that's part of the learning. It's the time of Virgo where we're looking at all of the smaller pieces. I was telling you earlier that, think of it as you open your box of 3,500 puzzle pieces and you have 7,000. And so as you're pulling them out, you're like, oh, this isn't a picture I want to build. I don't want this in my picture I'm building. Or, oh, this really belongs to you and I've taken it on in my beliefs, so I'm going to give it back to you. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of conspiracy theories, people trying to solve this, and it's not about solving it. The outcome is not changing. It's about what consciousness we're stepping into. And then as it goes direct, we have so on the actual third and fourth, we have Jupiter that's trining Mercury, and it happens twice, two very strong trines with this Mercury Jupiter combination. And
In
Jupiter,
the month of September?
in the month of September, and Jupiter is going retrograde. So just as Venus is coming out, Jupiter's going in. So it's going to be again, and Mercury will be coming out this month too. It's so the daily planets are kind of in the forward movement, and the bigger, slower moving kind of Earth energies are retrograde. So they're moving through us. So that's why it's about that earning. As I do the work, I'm earning the understanding that I'm looking for and that I'm yearning for. What is it my intention is around? But it's doing the daily work. Then we have something called a gazemi, which is basically the sun in a conversation with Mercury. And again, Mercury is retrograde until I think the 15th, just after the new moon. And so it's a really very much every single day going forward, every single day, what is it I'm wanting to accomplish today? Because I may be in a holding place because I'm waiting for the next thing, the next consciousness I'm stepping into to bring me the other pieces of it. And then we have a lot of good luck this month, a lot of placements that are about luck and the realization of our value and aligning our chakras and looking on the bright side. In the 7th and 8th, that same Jupiter is aligning with the sun in Virgo again, in its retrograde, expanding who I am, stabilizing it. And on the 14th, we have that new moon, very analytical new moon. It's Venus will be direct, and the ruler of that new moon is retrograde. Mercury's still at that point. And so it will be about that internal communication. So that would be the one thing to pay, for me, attention to. What is it I want to say? What is it I need to say? What's the practice? And if I don't know, then I'm going to be quiet until I do, and trusting that piece of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of analytical energies available. It's a new plan, and it's rising to the front for us this month.
And that feels like, for me, the stepping away from drama, when you just don't get involved with the mishigosh in your head.
Yes.
Attached to it and try and follow these, trails of thought, and that might have made you like a little anxious, stressed out, confused, self-doubting. You just kind of go, yeah, this is the way the energy is. You're following the energy, and the energy doesn't feel good to continue following it, right? You just go,
Yeah, and it's about that every day. Every day, my only comparison is, am I doing better than I was doing yesterday, or am I moving ahead from that? It's a new plan, a new path. It's very much releasing, more than releasing. I wish I had a different, this is where I'm limited in coming up with a word. There is an ancient opening that is happening, that's coming back to say, welcome back, guys. This is where, this is what the body was designed, that's been sleeping for a while. We have places in our body that we don't even access, and they're beginning to be waking. They're being awoken, and it's in a very sensory way, because our language and our thoughts get us into the drama, get us into that, and it's beyond. It's a new agreement. That's what it is. The new path, agreement beyond even the words.
yes. And I think that plays into that whole how it was versus how it is.
Yes, right.
And some people are just kind of going, oh, just no, I can't do that anymore. It's just happening so organically that you just wake up and go, no, I don't know. That
right.
doesn't work anymore.
It's beyond the words. It really is. The whole sensory system is stepping in to help us get around these beliefs, around these things that it's in the pause, it's in the silences, it's where we meet, where the agreements are not around our language, they're around the energy. And that's what it is
Yeah.
about, stepping into that consciousness. And it's not my job, I'm realizing, to be worried about other people's consciousness. So
No, I might be fascinated for sure. I love exploring that stuff. I might be fascinated about where people are in their consciousness, but
and it's not my job. It's
I need to look at.
oh, thank you for this mirror. Thank you for the thought. And I'm finding myself doing a lot more of, I'm just wrapping you in a source blanket and sending you on your way. When I start to struggle with my role with you, you know what? Here, let me just wrap you. I'll wrap me, and we'll, and then all of a sudden it neutralizes. Like, oh, it's not mine to worry about anymore.
Yeah, no. Mhm.
No, but
Well, I think,
I have go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead. I
I was
think that
just,
September, and
mhm.
we say this every month, but I think September, we're going to find it to be a very, as it unfolds, particularly as we hit like the 12th, 13th, 14th, like that's toward the midpoint of the month, we're going to find some very interesting things have ripened. And we're going to ask ourselves, do we really want to now bite into that fruit?
Yes.
So,
What is our forward movement for our decisions? What is the, I've heard a lot of people talk about that will be one earth, but with different realities. So, and I think again, here our language is limited, our understanding what that is. And so then let me concentrate in the moment of how I want my life to feel and think in the moment. I have a habit sometimes of the tasks in the morning. I kind of do the ones that I don't like just to get them out of the way. And then I find I don't do the ones I like. So let's just go with the flow, and the ones I don't like, I'll get them done. And stop watching the train wrecks.
yeah,
Fascinated by the train wrecks,
yeah, the gawker.
yeah, just
All
the
right.
rubberneck. So
Yes. Right. Well, I'm looking forward to this month very much. I was shocked at times when I would look at the calendar, go August 23rd, August 28th. What? How September 1st? How?
right.
But it did. And I'm grateful that we made it through the heat of the summer in the Northeast of the United States. And we'll see how things unfold. And, for the hot spots, for the very wet spots, for the war-torn spots on the planet, however you pray, meditate, send good vibes, you might want to take a moment during your day to just tune in and go, be at peace, be at peace. I find that to be a good practice, because it takes me out of my own drama.
Right.
Gives
And
me some appreciation for my life.
since I don't know what the outcome is going to be, I might as well concentrate on what I'd like it to be.
Yeah. Why not?
I shan't be more disappointed if it doesn't go that way. So we do that as humans. Oh, I don't want to disappoint myself too much. What? I don't know. So let me enjoy. And I've done it myself. Like, oh, don't get too excited. Why? Well, what that energy just is, I'm sending out, and it doesn't work that way. I've found now that, oh, well, then that's not the way it's kind of meant to go. So
just the way it is. It's again coming back to accepting what is and living in the moment, and noticing how peaceful you are or aren't, and can either change. Yeah, sure. Everything changes.
it does. So, all right. Thank you very
All right,
much,
folks.
everyone. We'll see
Have
you
a
right around
good
the 15th.
first half of the month. Yes.
All right.
Back in the month. Ciao for
Bye-bye
now.
now.